And we're live. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's Axel Phillips here with the Every Point's a Winner podcast. Hopefully, you can get your papers and pens out. If you haven't got a paper and pen close by, just type it into your phone because we're going to go for 5 weeks in a row. We had 4 really good wins. We broke square last week, so we got money for today or for this weekend. So, but be careful. Now, I'm telling you because the last time we had a disaster was when it was a lot of rain. Now, according to the Weather Bureau or the weather forecast, it's going to be, I'll just adjust this a little bit, so we hear it a little bit louder. It's going to be a fairly wet weekend. So just be aware of that. So the ball handling is not going to be quite as good. The kicks are probably going to be a bit wayward because the wind will come with the rain as well. So thanks for joining us here on Every Point's a Winner, and let's try and get at least 5 weeks in a row where we're way on top. We started off with all those inconsistencies over the first 5 and 6 weeks. We're breaking a square, losing a bit, breaking a square, getting our money back. But from the last 4 weeks, 3 really good wins and a break square last weekend. So be careful. If we can break square or win at $10, $15, $20 this week, it's good. But tread carefully. Maybe take $1 or $2 off each of your parlays. And that way you won't get hammered. Okay, so let's keep the confidence up. But I'm always tread very warily when it comes to wet weather football. And we had it last night. Congratulations to the New South Wales girls, including my favourite, Tiana Penatani, who's still playing out of position. She did a great pass, I believe, there. Koenig played out of her skin. And if you go back to one of the first or second podcasts we did with Scotty Pearce-McLeod, my biggest gripe was that Olivia Koenig did not get a run in the Australian side, which was proof evident last night. 2 great tries, and to make up and win over once, and they didn't look likely after that. They were hoping for wet weather football similar to last year. They thought they could take it to a third game playoff, which they did, and they won it. But as it was, they were just dominant from the outset. Just after the Tamika Upton try, they just never gave Queensland a sniff, and their ball handling was awful. But congratulations to the girls, and onwards and upwards from there. And we can't wait till your NRLW round start, and we'll be covering that here on Every Point's a Winner. Let's get into the first match tonight, and the first match is a holding my breath moment for me. Newcastle cannot afford to lose another game. It's against Parramatta, who's 17th, and Newcastle's 14th, with the arrow going down like that. How they lost last week, one can only ask oneself. And even if you ask a mystic with the crystal ball, I don't think he could have given you the answer how they lost that. There was a few teams like that last week where you just thought, how could they lose that game? But anyway, it is at McDonald Jones Stadium. We used to call it the Marathon Stadium, but all these sponsorships and what have you certainly get the call of the card. Just looking at the team list here, we'll have a quick look at ins and outs. Fletcher Hunt is in. Fletcher Hunt. Okay. That's a new name that I haven't come across. Tyson Gamble finally in. By the looks of it, Paul Bryan, haven't heard of him. Jack Hetherington's back. The only trouble with Jack is, and they don't really need a player that's going to drop the ball in their own 30, and they've been doing that like regulation, Newcastle. So Parramatta's probably got a good chance to win this one. Ryan Matheson is in for Parramatta. Tony Matali and Zach Lomax is in. So that's a fairly big plus. Out is Bailey Simonson and Charlie Geimer. And out for the Newcastle Knights is Greg Marju, Jack Cogger, who was dropped, and Leo Thompson. So let's have a look and see if we can find any value there. I I'm leaning towards Parramatta at this stage, as much as I'm a crazy Knights fan. I'm just looking here. Why have they got Fletcher Hunt is on the weekend? Is on the winger. Is on the weekend. Fletcher Hunt. No relation to Cameron Hunt, is he? I don't know. Anyway, Fletcher Sharp. We need to make sure he has a good game. All the forwards have to fire here, and there's some big boys in Parramatta. And Dury's coming back as well. He'll be up against Lucas. Junior Polo is back. Ryan Smith. Riley Smith. I don't mind this guy for Parramatta. I think he's got a fairly big future, no matter where he goes in the future. Thomas Kant is back for the Newcastle Knights. Brodie Jones will be up against Matali. But they're all interchange benches, though. And Jaden Brayley, who I think should really be in one of the main positions there, preferably over Phoenix Crossland, who's very hot and cold. But let's go and see if we can abstract any value out of this game. At head-to-head, it's $1.90 each. Just having a look at the last time they played, it was 34 Knights over Parramatta 26, so a high-scoring game, and that was in round 17 in 2024. Well, let's go straight to score a try and see if we can pick a banker here. Josh Haddad's cars come up a little bit skinny. He had a good game. He could have sealed it for Parramatta last week, but he just couldn't hold the ball at the right time. But he did a couple of magic things, but it wasn't one of his greatest games. Fletcher Sharp, of course, has only missed the one try over the last 5 matches, and he comes up pretty skinny, but reasonable at 240. Isaiah Iongi, the fullback for Parramatta, is 260. Dylan Lucas, who got one of our returns last week, $3.10. And I did tell you last week that give him that second or third run back from his injury, and he finally stretched out and went over. So he's good value again. Dylan Brown, still really good value. I'm going to, because I'm leaning more towards Parramatta, and as much as I hope Newcastle to win, Dylan Brown is my banker here at 375. That's a great banker. Dylan Brown at 375. And why go off a winning formula? Well, let's chuck in Dylan Lucas at 310 for your second banker. Now, your 3 multis, which get intertwined and stood out with your first 2 bankers, then you combine them with your third, fourth, and fifth leg. You have them in a couple of $2 parlays. Of course, you can use one of them, the third, fourth, or fifth leg, to chuck in for your 3-leg parlays. But remember, we're really concentrating on 2-leg parlays to, at least for starters, get your money back. And then from there, it's just if you can get 1 or 2 of those bankers in and pick up one of your smaller doubles or your 2-leg parlays, then you've got the next 40 minutes to ride out and try and get it and hope and pray for a 3-leg parlay, because that's where the big value is. But to rely on it and just have 3-leg parlays, it's just a little specky bet, but they very rarely come off. I can tell you that from experience over the last 2 years of being a very strong TAB and NRL fixture, punter and tipster. So let's chuck in Zach Lomax, first run back from a spell. He's only $1.95, but I'd like him as my 3rd leg. And then we're going to head back to Parramatta, and we're going to chuck in, I'd like to chuck in Mitchell Moses. We might have him at the back for a minute. And I'm going to chuck in Riley Smith here. Riley Smith at 550. I think he's a player of the future. Although he hasn't gone over yet, he's very good value there for the 4th leg. And for our 5th leg, we have to chuck in Fletcher Sharp. Although he'll be marked, he's still $2.40, so that's really good value. Let's get on to the next match. There's 2 matches tonight because of the ladies' game and basically deciding for Queensland and deciding that New South Wales would win last night. They've won the series. There'll be a dead rubber match later on. We'll go over that after, but the next game is Bulldogs versus Sydney Roosters. This is a very interesting one. Let's just go back to the page, to the NRL page, nrl.com, and have a look here. It's $1.45 according to Sports tab here. $1.45 Bulldogs, 2.76 the Roosters. Remember, it's going to be wet weather football, guys. There's more rain outside my window here at the moment. It's just started. That's at 8 o'clock, that game. And of course, the Parramatta and Newcastle game is the first game at 6 o'clock. Let's have a look at the team list and the ins and outs. This is always an important fact. Blake Taff is in for the Bulldogs. Luke Smith is in. Out, of course, is Jamin Salmon. He's going to be out for 6 to 8 weeks at least with that 3 fractures to his ankle. That wasn't a good way to finish after his little try there on the weekend, last weekend. Lindsay Collins is in. He's been hot and cold, but let's see how he goes for the Roosters. That's the only really significant changes there. And this is Connor Tracy versus the experience of Tedesco, James Tedesco. So going to be a couple of good matchups. The 2 young fellows, Toby Sexton versus Hugo Savala in the halves there. King, thank God King's there. Max King, because he'll be facing up against a very big man in Spencer Leniu. Reed Marnie against Connor Watson. Some really good matchups here. Harry Hayes versus Sua Wong. Victor Radley and Kurt Mann. Now, there's a match for the ages. Both strong as oxes and both very experienced players. Bailey Hayward's on the interchange for Canterbury with Kurt Moran, Lipoi Hopoi, and Luke Smith also. Then you have, for the interchange for East, you have Docker Clay, Egan Butcher, who I would imagine that's Matt Butcher's brother, Lindsay Collins, so that he'll be getting a run at some stage. He's a big man. If you have a close look at Lindsay Collins, you could pass him for Nick Nolte. He has a little bit of a Nick Nolte head. I don't know whether you've noticed it before. It's not one thing that you look at when you're watching rugby league, but as much as I think it's funny that Fletcher Sharp reminds me of Brett Kenny. He looks so much like him. But anyway, or young Brett Kenny. Let's go to the TAB and see if we can pick up a little bit of value here for the Bulldogs Sydney Roosters game. Tread carefully, guys, because it could be a really, really tight match, this one, even though they're both teams that throw the ball around, which is an exciting thing. Just have a little sip here. I'm getting a bit coarse in the throat. Thank you for waiting. And let's go straight to the first and second try scorer here, or 2+ try scorers. And we have a market here. Jacob Carras has come up as favourite at $1.70. He's gone over twice, the 2 times he's played for the Bulldogs. That was a powerful try that he scored, carrying over 3 players last weekend. But this could be a different case. Mark Nawazi is at 2.10 there. We do hyphenate his name there, Mark Nawazi, because it's very difficult to say Nawakata Nawazi. So it's Mark Nawazi. Some people call him Marky Mark, but at least it's Mark Nawazi to us here at Every Point's a Winner. Connor Tracy at 2.25. Bronson Sherry 2.40. Geez, we needed him last week to get a really good 3-leg parlay. So, and Steve Crichton got one or two of our legs up there going over, and he looked like he nearly went over twice, but he set up a beautiful try as well. Villami kick-out, that was the one that I was entertaining at 3.10. I usually have him in. It'll be a bit harder against some of these big forwards of East, I believe, and tough tacklers. So nothing's really jumping out here. It's disappointing that they haven't got the form of the try scorers here of when they went in last time. Sometimes they have it, sometimes they don't. In this page, they don't have it. I think Canterbury will will go close to winning this match. It would not surprise me to see Canterbury losing this match, to be honest with you. They've got a lot of players out now, Canterbury. Can Kurt Mann be as effective playing the full game here? So you might at least get three-quarters of a game, and he's going to have his work cut out against a very, very good East player and forward in Radley. So let's have a look here. Robert Toyer's 4-1. Billy Smith 375 for East. Because I'm narrowly tipping Canterbury, let's chuck in a banker that I definitely think will go over. I don't really want to start. I'm not going to break our rules here of going odds on as a banker. I'd rather put it on as a safety guard, as a fifth or sixth bet, just to get your money back at least if you're struggling. Just having a look here, Jacob Kiraz is, he's the stiff one at $1.70. Steve Crichton 260. Is he going to play that same phenomenal game that he played last weekend? Sometimes he'll have too much work cut out to play a game like that. I'd like to stand him out, but I don't really want to risk too much here. I'm going to stand out Connor Tracy. It's cost me before, but I think he's going to make up for it here. Connor Tracy is the banker here at 225. At least he's over even money. He's close, a little bit closer to 5-2 than not. So Connor Tracy at 225. We're going to say Mark Nawaz to be the next try scorer at 210. So that's not going to pay you that well. You might want to have it with your third, fourth, and fifth leg here and mix them up. Billy Smith, 375 is our third selection. Our fourth selection, Robert Toyer at 4-1. Robert Toyer has been playing outstanding lately. And then we're going to swift it back to the Bulldogs side. Let's say Matt Burton scores here. I've got a feeling Matt Burton will score 350. That's really, really good value. And as your sixth leg, you could either chuck in Kurt Mann at $5 or his opposition there, Radley, who will more than Victor Radley will be $6 at least. He's been consistently going over lately. Let's go on to the next match. I honestly think if you're playing margins with the first game, Newcastle Parramatta have 1-12 both. And I cringe to say this. If you want to take a risk, go Parramatta 13 plus if Newcastle aren't going to lift. They've been playing horrible at Marathon or their home ground, which has changed names again, McDonald's Stadium. They've been playing horrible in front of their home crowd lately. I don't know whether they're going to be any good in the wet. We'll find out tonight. But with Bulldogs and Roosters game with the margins, I definitely have 1-12 both. I cannot see either side here winning 13 plus, unless Bulldogs decide to come out the gates at 100 miles an hour this time. Roosters, I don't think, will capitulate as Canberra did last week in that match where Bulldogs were spotting them. What was it, 20-0 at halftime? So there you go. There's the games there. And tomorrow we're moving to the Warriors versus Dolphins. It's at Suncorp Stadium. Let's have a look at the ins and outs as we go back a page here and move on to the Saturday matches. The first match is pretty early at 3 o'clock or 3 p.m. And let's have a look at the team lists here. I'm favouring I'm favouring not Warriors, but I'm favouring Dolphins here. But I really don't want to go off Warriors. Have been so good to me, especially on with Footy Tab and the rest. Let's have a look here. Well, we're trying to pick winners here as much as we want value as well. There's a lot of ins and outs here. Dolphins Junior Tupou is in. Kenneth Bromwich. Now, that's a big asset, I believe, for the big forward pack there of the Dolphins. Max Feagai or Fane, whatever they call him. is in, and Oren Keeley. He's not a bad player either for the Dolphins. Ins, now this is a massive, this may sway me to head towards Warriors here. This is a phenomenal ins pack here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ins. And these are big names here already. James Fisher Harris is back. Graham Tolfer is back. But this one is making me dribble here. Roger Tuivasa-Sheck. I thought he was going to come back last week, as they said he was in, but they left him with his tracksuit on. Samuel Healy, Tanner Boyd, the old ex-Gold Coast player, and Tanner Stowers-Smith. So that's a big plus if Roger Tuivasa-Sheck truly takes the field this time. Outs for the Warriors, Jackson Ford, that's a big loss. He's been phenomenal for the Warriors this year. And Bunty Afoa, thanks for the little coffee break there. Bunty Afoa is out as well. But Jackson Ford is a bad out, but luckily his place will be taken up by James Fisher Harris. Let's go over to the value here. Dolphins and Warriors, 195 head-to-head with Warriors 185. So 10 cents favourites here. The Warriors, 10 cents in front of the Dolphins. Obviously, people, and including the bookmakers and the TAB, think, and the sports bet people think it's going to be a tight match as much as we do. The last time they met, it was only 2 points in it as well. 34 Dolphins beat the Warriors 32. Now, that was in round 23 on the 11th of the 8th at Suncorp Stadium as well. Let's go straight to the first-time try scorer. Zalesniak looked like scoring a couple of times last week. He did a couple of intercepts that didn't quite pay off. I think either this game or the next game, providing he stays injury-free, I think he's going to actually get one of those intercepts and turn the game on its head. That's my tip for possibly for this game or the next game. But anyway, he's bit short, $1.75. We're not going to start with him. Roger Tuivasa-Sheck comes out at $1.95. We might put him on the sideline for our fifth or sixth leg here, maybe our fourth leg. But we need to get at least even money value here. Why don't we chuck in Herbie Farnworth at $2.50? He's been so good to us lately. The last 4 games he's gone over and he stays around the same price, 5 to 2. $2.50 for your dollar, 5 to 2. Luke Metcalf, he's been phenomenal for us, and he was our main banker last week and got us a really good double. Would have got us a great 3-leg parlay had Lika Halasima gone over. But they're the first and 2 standouts for me. Herbie Farnworth as your first banker and Luke Metcalf as your second banker. James Avarillo. Now, he was supposed to go over last game. Didn't really get into the game. It was a weird game for the Dolphins. But anyway, usually when Dolphins go well, Avarillo goes over. It's either him or the other Cody Nicarima, the little greyhound whippet, as I call him. Kirk Capewell's been working that beautiful 1-2 combination with Luke Metcalf. Lika Halasima, I think, will be our third leg at $3.50. Very good value there. I'm going to do it. Don't shoot me, folks, but I'm going to chuck in Cody Nicarima at $4.25 as the 4th leg. And as the 5th leg, I'm tossing up between Connolly Lemuelu, who got us a beautiful double last week in the Dolphins game. I'm going to have them both. You decide what you want to do, but I'm going to have Lemuelu for the 5th selection. And, of course, if Tuivasa-Sheck gets the run, and hopefully he does, he would be my 6th emergency leg, and I'll chuck him in a couple of 3-leg parlays with your main 2 bankers and your 3rd tip. So let's go to the next match there. I'm gonna go for Warriors there because of those 2 inclusions of Tuivasa-Sheck. I was leaning towards the Dolphins this morning, but seeing those ins and outs, I'm going to stick with the favourites there. Warriors 1-12. Can't see them beating Dolphins 13 plus, but wouldn't be surprised if they have one of those psycho games, which they can have occasionally. But up in Suncorp, they're going to get a lot of decisions go against them. So just keep that in mind. Whether it's wet in Brisbane, I haven't had a look yet, put that into your account. Half your bets if you have to, if it's an absolute quagmire. But it's been fair weather up there at the moment as far as I know. But do a little bit of research tomorrow and make sure you check that Brisbane weather. The next game is the North Queensland. This is the one that I think we can get a lot of good value for. If I tell you there's really good value in it, I really mean there's good value in it. So stick with us on this one. We don't have to play all 8 games. If we had got those three-leg parlays that we missed on 3 different games last week, we could have played all 8 games here. But this one, because it's a high value, I'm ready to get up in the 85% to win on this game. Even though Manly's hot and cold, I'll be sticking to North Queensland, especially at home. Let's double check and make sure it is there at Townsville as we go to that next game on the Saturday. And that game is at 5:30. Cowboys running 6th and Seagulls running 8th. There's one thing that I don't like what he's done here. He sacked Jake Clifford, who's been one of our anytime try scorers, and he's moved Purdue from the centre into halfback role. This worries me because the New South Wales NRLW coach did that with Tiana Penatani, and she can't score from 5'8" position because she's a prolific centre. And I think, for mine, I think Purdue is a prolific centre. I could be wrong here, but it might screw us up with the anytime try scorer because he's been faultless for us over the last 5 weeks. He's got us money back in our account every time. I think as I said, him and Metcalf were players of the future a long time ago. Metcalf has overcome so many injuries and he's a champion. But this is a different game. But honestly, you know how long I've had a rap on both Fletcher Sharp from Newcastle and Jack Purdue from the time we started Every Points a Winner podcast this year in early 2025. So Cowboys at $1.73 are hot favourites, and Seagulls at $2.12. So let's have a look at the ins and outs. That could be important. Ins and outs here. Caden Lass is in for Cowboys. Carl Lawton, I don't mind Carl Lawton. Semi Valami is back. Semi Valami and Thomas Duffy, not a bad player either. Ins for Eagles is Jake Arthur, a hot and cold player, but we'll see how he goes. Joey Walsh, Matthew Lodge, pretty good player, Matthew Lodge. And Michael Cheekan is a pretty good player as well, is in for the Manly Seagulls. Let's go over to the page here and have a look at the TAB as we wend our way through the games here on Every Point's a Winner. And the last time they met, it was a big win to Manly, 42-12 in round 1. Well, Manly can do that to you when they're in form, can't they? I don't think they're going to do it here. And, of course, that was Four Pines Park where they get all the favouritism of not just the home ground support, but the referees tend to blow a hell of a lot of penalties going Manly's way at 4 Pines Park, or the old Brookvale, as I used to know as a kid. Okay, let's have a look at our try scorers here. Finally, we've got some form loaded up. The last couple of games we've had no form to go off, where they show you when they scored and when they didn't score. Murray Talangi finally missed a try last week. He starts the favouritism off at $1.75, followed by Darby at $1.80, Jason Saab at $1.80, and Valami at $1.85. Then it swings out to your even money chances. Tom Travojevic, can you believe it? The time I don't have him. Oh, damn you, Tommy. The time I Don't have him, he'll always go over. And I had him last week. We needed him and Britton the Cora to get 3 different 3-leg parlays, which would have scooped the pool for us. But anyway, as it was, Kale Ero got us out of the death there at 4 Pines Park last weekend. But this is a new game, and Tolata Cola was the other one that got us our double. I don't want to. Do I stand him out against North Queensland? I think you could. You could, of course, we're tipping North Queensland. I have no other reason not to pick Jackson Pardue apart from he'll be playing out of position. That's the one thing I'm scared with. So I'm going to swing back here to Thomas Dearden as our banker. He's been great for us the last 2 games. Thomas Dearden as our first banker, and you can't get any better value to start off your banking. And you can't get any better value than Thomas Dearden there at 7-2. He's been outstanding. He's not going to lay down for this game with the State of Origin just around the corner. He doesn't need to prove himself. We know he's going to be in the side. 375. That's our first banker there. Luke Brooks, you let us down last week. Jake Clifford here is on the market at 4-1. I thought he was sacked. Maybe he's been moved back to the bench. Let's go back a second here and see where they've put him on. They put him onto the interchange, Jake Clifford. So this is really important because although he's a hot and cold player, when he's on, he's on. Yeah, they have. They've put him as a reserve replacement, so he's not even on the interchange bench. So they may have to rely on an injury there. You don't really want to do that, but for some reason they've put him in the market there at 4-1, the TAB and sports bets. So we had Thomas Dearden as our first banker here. Let's have. I think the other guy we want is suspended. So let's swing back here. Let's put in. I don't want to put in Purdue as my second banker. Let's chuck in a guy that needs to lift here. Oh, Jeremiah Nanai is in. Let's do Jeremiah Nanai. He scored the last 3 matches along with Tolata Kola. He'll be a third leg. Tom Travojevic, I'm worried about. This time, I think Scott Driftwater, he hasn't gone over, God, for a long, long time. He's only 220 because he used to be a prolific try scorer. But I think he'll play outstandingly again with Tom Dearden. Have him as the 4th banker. And I'm tossing up between Zach Laybat and Hamoli Olakawatu and Ben Travojevic, those 3 big forwards. Chuck any of those boys in for your 5th and 6th leg, and I'll leave it up to you. Jake Clifford is a question mark whether he's actually going to get the run. Dale Cherry Evans let us down along with Tom Travojevic last Sunday at 4 Pines Park. So I'm laying off them this week, and they'll probably go over. That's how it goes on the punt. But we're sticking solid there with that game. I really think that's an 85% win chance, that game. Just put those bankers in there. And as I said, the question mark is Jackson Purdue. How is he going to play that beautiful game that he plays usually in the centres from 5'8"? We know he's got the speed and the sidestep. He's got everything. But that's the question mark this weekend. Let's get on to the next match before we get dug down in the hole here. And this one's a really good match. And it's Melbourne and Cronulla. Let's go to the ins and outs and see if there's any change in the teams here. It's at 7:35, this game at Shark Stadium. Oh, that could be a quagmire. It's a fairly good pitch, but being near the swamp waters, if the swamp waters they tend to overflow a bit, it can affect the Shark Park. It really can. And you're sitting there, you're freezing, you're getting the wind blowing up from the ocean, and it can be most unpleasant if it's weather like this all weekend. Let's have a look at the team list and have a look at the ins and outs. Geez, there's a lot of ins for Cronulla. Teague Wilden's back. He's a very good player. Talakai, one of my favourite forwards, along with the other big forward. Let's see. Tapoa is back, and Chris Valea is in as well. Storm, Lasati is in. Harry Grant's back. Oh, that's a massive help. That is a massive help. Well, they didn't need a help against West Tigers. West Tigers just didn't show up, did they, last weekend? Vaialapu is back. Lazarus and Tui Kamakamika, the big giant. I can't honestly see Cronulla causing an upset here. I just think they're going to be monstered. Even though they got Talakai and Wilton back there, I think Storm are in the most sizzling form for a long while. I can't tip around them. So let's take out Storm there at 13 plus and 1 to 12. I would suggest to start with 1 to 12 and then go to 13 plus. All you Cronulla fans, I know you'll be throwing tomatoes at me, but they're going to have to play one of their most perfect games ever to beat this incredible inform Storm side. So let's have a look at the value here with the sports tab and the TAB for the NRL. It is head-to-head 250 Cronulla, Melbourne at $1.53, fairly skinny, about as skinny as Via Sistina. At the racetrack, fairly skinny. Okay, let's have a look here. The last time they played was the qualifying final, and it was Storm 37. And we had a really good collect that day because we had Harry Grant to go over. We had value all over the park, and I think we got about 2 3-leg parlays, 2 doubles, and it was 37 to 10. And we had Pappy to go over with the winger as well. So we did really well that time last year on the 14th of the 9th. 37 to 10 it was. Let's go straight to the 1 and 2 try scorers here. Pappenhausen has scored, of course, the last 4 matches. He opens up the market at $1.80, then out to Coates at $1.80. Fire who didn't go over last week, is $1.95. Kane Bradley, $1.95. Samuel Stone Street, there's a bit of value there for Samuel, $2.05 in this game. Elise Katoa, he very rarely lets us down. He got our double last week. Thank you, Elise. Elise Katoa, we had to wait pretty late in the match, but we still got a nice collect there because we had him with Cameron Munster. This is just updated, and I've lost all the try scorers there. Give me 1 second and see if it comes back. Okay, when it updates sometimes, yeah, for some reason it's taken all the tries away. I vaguely remember with this identical memory who scored and who didn't score last time. Let's stand out Elise Katoa here at 275 as our first banker. And then for our second banker, we're going to go Samuel Stone Street at 205 because invariably he'll be odds on. I think it's his time to score. Samuel Stone Street. Can't see Harry going over at his first run back from a spell, but I wouldn't be surprised. Jesse Ramian, he's been playing really well lately. Atkinson, Teague Wilkin. Munster, could he go over again? Big question there. Nicholas Wine, 450, good value for Nicholas. Why don't we put in the big fella who's back? Let's have a look here. You got Kamakamika, Josh King. There were so many try scorers last game against the West Tigers with Melbourne. I think they nearly all scored the entire side. Jesse Concahuan, Adam Fanua Blake. We missed him last week. and we missed him at 5-1. So he's 5-1 again. Just having a look here. Blake Briley, he doesn't go over much. He's usually the top tackle count player, and he's also doing so much from dummy half. Tries to go over a couple of times skirt like Harry Grant does from dummy half, but he doesn't always get success. I'm going to stick out Jerome Hughes here. Jerome Hughes as our second banker. Britton Nakora as our third. We've got Elise Katoa on top. And so we've got the two edge runners there in our parlay. For fourth, I'm going to chuck in the big fella here, Teague Wilton. First run back from the spell, 375. I'm going nice and wide of the mark. And I'm looking for Talakai, if I can find him. Where are you, Talakai? When they have got their tries away from there, it's just looking at a big list here. No, let's leave Talakai out. He might come close to scoring and chuck in a guy who's scored virtually the last 4 matches that he's played back from his injury. KL Era at 275. Okay, that's all that game wrapped up. We've only got 2 Sunday matches to wrap up. Oh, St George. Oh, God, every time I play St George, Valentine Holmes and Jacob Little, they don't go over. Every time I do play them, they won't go over, but every time I don't play them, they go over, and it kills me. So I really looked at this game thoroughly. I think Brisbane are going to stand up. They need to. I can't see the inconsistent St George winning, especially up there. Let's have a look at the ins and outs and see if there's any significant difference we need to have a look at as far as the team list is concerned. That's at 2:00. That's the first game on the Sunday, the 18th of May. The team list here, it's Selwyn Cobber at fullback. But let's have a look at the ins and outs. So he's still not back, their fullback. In is Ezra Mann. Wow. Will he get the game or just be on the sideline? We'll have to have a look at that. Delise Hoata is back. Karapini is back. Martin Torpau is back for the Broncos. Jaden Hunt been playing pretty good of late. Let's have a look at the Dragons. Blake Laurie is back. Blake Laurie, Hamley Selly, and then Lachlan Ilias is back after being dropped from a few games. Michael Mollo is back for St George, and Nathan Lawson. Toby Couchman is out, and Ben Hunt, of course, tore his hamstring last week and is also, I believe, out of the origin. Let's have a look here and go to our next important page, and that is give me 1 second here. It's just gone down here for a second. Brisbane and St George. Finally got it up. Brisbane currently are heading down the chart at the moment, a 7th, and also going down with them as St George 13th. They've both, it looks like they've played 10 times Brisbane for 5 wins, 5 losses, 5 and 5. St George, 3 wins, 6 losses. And mind you, 3 of those losses were field goals. So work that one out. I'm not going to hold my breath tipping them here to beat Broncos. There will be some psycho St George supporters that are tipping the upset, but I can't see it happen at Brisbane's home ground here. So they're $1.30. They're skinnier than Via Sistina. They're Brisbane at $1.30, and St George are $3.50 head-to-head. The last time they played, St George did cause a boil-over, 30-26, and that was round 19 at Suncorp Stadium. So looks like they have a fairly good record there at Suncorp Stadium. Brisbane need to come out, not just score that first try, but they need to complete 80, at least 75 to 80 minutes of completion rate and just getting their shit together because every time the punters rely on them, they lose. Okay, the last big win was against Canterbury, finally making the undefeated leaders defeated, but they haven't lifted a leg since then, and shamefully got beaten by Latrell Mitchell and South last weekend. But let's have a look here. We think they're gonna bounce back here. Jesse Arthurs leads up the tally at $1.55 here. That's very skinny. Hasn't gone over, mind you, the last two matches because Brisbane have played so ordinary. Dean Mariner, oh, damn it. I hate when it does that. It's updated again, and I've lost the try scoring page. We'll look here. Damn, we've still lost that. It doesn't matter. I vaguely remember who's gone over and who hasn't gone over. But it's a real bugbear of mine from the TAB app here, how it's got them on there, whether they've scored last time or whether they haven't. And then as soon as the page refreshes, it disappears. So you're going on the form that's photographed up here. Luckily, I've got a photographic memory. Well, identical memory, as some people say. You have to be a broadcaster and a commentator. Okay. Payne Haas, could he go over here? Jordan Ricky. Shibasaki has not been fed the ball enough at the right end of the field lately. Katoni Staggs is still hot and cold for mine. Ezra Mann's come up at 230. Who do we stand out here? We don't want to go any shorter than even money. Selwyn Cobbo's 2-1 here. Let's use him as a 2-1 banker. It's short, but it reaches our criteria of at least being even money. So Selwyn Cobbo for Brisbane is our first leg. We're going to chuck in Terrell Sloan at 210 for St George for our second leg. Let's lean back towards Shibasaki at 260. I think we'll have a big game against St George. Shibasaki at 260 for our third leg. Xavier Willison, 290. That's a bit skinny. I'm going to go a little bit wider here and say Brendan Piakura at 325 for our fourth leg. And Adam Reynolds at 350 for our fifth leg. I'm tipping here Brisbane at 1-12, but I would not look at you in a funny way if you tip me St George 1-12. So I'd be mainly saying take a risk and have Brisbane 1-12. Now, if you had the money, you could have Brisbane 13 plus, but I don't think so. St George are trying to stay in touch with the 8. They both are, in fact, but Brisbane are higher up, of course. But I think this is going to be a bit of a grind, this match. But I can see it opening up in the second half. That's my prediction here. So Brisbane, that'll be probably my third selection at 13 plus Brisbane. So I definitely have as my second selection St George 1-12 because they need to bounce back. This is their calling card to bounce back and see if they can repeat from last year. Okay, we've got 3 matches on the Sunday, and the second last one before we wrap it up, the penultimate one here, Canberra trying to bounce back after looking like they had Bulldogs shot to bits, but Bulldogs came out and played a golden game that Canberra had no answer for. They're running fourth and basically equal third or second on the ladder, but for and against goes against them. 7 wins and 3 losses for Canberra, where Gold Coast came from behind was it 20-0 down or 20-6 down and destroyed the Knights in the second half of that game. I'm still spitting chips, especially since Bo Fermor was one of our bankers and didn't go over. Okay. Last time they played, it was 30-20. Canberra narrowly beat the Gold Coast there. Gold Coast at round 7 were finally starting to get their act together, but that was up at Gold Coast. And this game, we'll go over to the page here. We want to look at some ins and outs here for the Canberra and Titans game. It is at GIO Stadium in Canberra. Yeah, I think they'll bounce back here, and I think they'll get a big, just as big a crowd as what they did losing narrowly against the Bulldogs last start. So team list here, ins and outs. That's an important thing to watch. Corey Horsburgh is back in. Yeah, I thought he was lacking from the team last week. Danny Levi is in. I've got a soft spot for Danny. Jed Stewart's in. Is he in relation to Ricky? He must be. Noah Martin is back. Pasami Solo and Trey Mooney is back also. In for Titans is Smith Shields, Jamin Jolliffe, who I don't mind, Josh Patston, tough name. Kieran Foran is back. Now that's a big plus. That is a big plus. But first run back, is he going to lead the main part of the ground there? Well, I'm sure he will. Sean Moloney is back and Tony Francis is back. Out Isaac F. or Fasa Molalali and Alec Wienke is out for the Titans, and Mania Watiri is out and Matty Nicholson is out. That's a little bit of a loss there for Canberra. So let's go to the TAB and see if we can find us some value here. Okay, there's the TAB there. And looking at the head-to-head, it's $1.30 Canberra and $3.50 Gold Coast. So go straight to the, hopefully it doesn't refresh. Don't refresh. Savali Tamale. I think he's going to go over here, but he's the hot favourite at $1.75 along with Xavier Savage and Khan Pereira at $2.05. He hasn't got the ball enough lately, Khan Pereira. They've been going to the other wing, and Sami keeps on going over. He is my nemesis, Philip Sami, because he's always ran about 240, but every time I don't have him, he'll score religiously and relentlessly against my tips. So Matthew Timoko, he is 250, pretty good value. Sebastian Chris, 250, hasn't scored for two matches, the last two. Both for more. Do we give him another chance here? Jamal Fogarty occasionally tries to throw a dummy and go himself from dummy half there. Joe Fafita, he let us down last time at 350. We were just looking here. Joseph Tarpany. Is it his turn? I've got a feeling it's his turn, but I don't want to stand him out because you don't know how much time he's going to get on the field. He might usually get about 3/4 of the game, and that may not be enough to get a try. And AJ Bremson, wow, he has killed me this year as much as Philip Sami. Actually, the times I have Philip Sami, strangely enough, I'll have AJ Brimson and they both don't go over. But as soon as I let them go, they both go over. Oh, they're really hard to catch. I can't see Brimson scoring here this time against the run of play here. I think I would like to stand out Hudson Young again. Huddo Young, he's a psychopathic player, so we're going to put him on top here. And Hudson Young is our banker at 230 because I'm tipping Canberra to narrowly beat the Gold Coast Titans. I can't see it being a thrashing unless Canberra come out like they did in that first half and then also bring it to the second half against the Gold Coast Titans. And Titans have got their back up a little bit now as well. We're going to chuck in Savali Tamale at the shorter price here for our second leg. Our third leg, KO Weeks, been scoring basically every game, the last three games. I'm leaving out Sami. Don't be surprised, folks, if he goes over. Ethan Strange let us down. He hasn't scored the last two matches. But let's chuck in both for Moore, who's always been good to us, as our fourth selection. And then Jojo Jafita for the Jojo Jafita. And then as a sixth leg, chuck him in there, only because I don't think he's going to get the full game. Definitely Joseph Tarpany, because there's good value there at 475. Let's move to the next match before we get laboured down anymore. And it's the last one before we say cheerio and best of luck tonight with the two games tonight and the other three games on Saturday and three games on Sunday. Let's have a look at it's the West Tigers versus South, the old rivalry, the old grand final rivalry. Back in the black and white days, or Balmain versus South. So here we go. Let's get off that page for a second and we'll go to the ins and outs before we wrap it up here on Every Point's a Winner. Thanks for joining us yet again. Please like, subscribe, comment, definitely comment, and good or bad, we'll always get back to you. Okay? So we haven't had any special guests on lately. You're always quite welcome. Give me a drop the website a line or even the comment and tell me how you want to come on the show. Okay, let's have a look at the team lists here. It is $1.94 for the Tigers and $1.90 Rabbitohs. I think Rabbitohs are going to win this one, even though Tigers will probably perform well here. It is at Campbelltown Stadium. Let's have a look at the team list and the ins and outs, maybe a vital cog to picking up a collect here. Tristan Hope is in for the Tigers, along with Starfatoa. That's a big plus. Fatape is back. That's another big plus. Mason is back and Ruben Porter. Pretty good workhorse, Ruben Porter. The ins for South, Alex Johnson. That's a big help. Joshua Schuster, Lewis Dodd, and Jacob Host. So that's a big plus for South with Alex Johnson back on the wing, and a big plus for Fatape and Starfatoa back for the West Tigers. This could be close, this match. But I don't know why. I just got a feeling South are going to have a little bit more momentum here. And there's going to be pressure on West Tigers to see if they can get rid of that thrashing of 64-0 out of their mentality. That's the thing. And if South put, say, 2 or 3 quick tries on them, it's going to be a long road back from Campbelltown, if you ask me. And they can't really afford to lose this one. So there's a lot of pressure on West Tigers in this match. And that's why I'm swaying more towards the Rabbitohs, just with some of their star players on there. And let's go over to the first time anytime try scorer here. Damn, we'll just see if we can refresh that page again, because the try scorers have gone down. Whilst we look at that, let's have a look and see who's the referee here. Wyatt Raymond. Hold your breath, guys. They've been pretty good, though, haven't they, since they were attacked by all the supporters at NRL when they had that ridiculous sin bin, everything that was just slightly above the chest or slipped up towards the head was being sin bin, and it really destroyed the game we love called NRL. Just having a look here, the last time they played, we need to go to the TAB for that, to have a look at that. And yeah, the last time they played, it was round 24. It was a close one again. Tigers 18 beat the Rabbitohs 16, and that looks like it was at home. Prior to that, in round 20, it was South 42 and West Tigers 28. If the ground's going to be sodden, I can't see it being try after try after try after try like that game, 42-28. I think it'll be a little bit closer and there'll be a lot of mistakes. The times they've played together, South have always dominated on the field, 26 wins to 18 over the West Tigers. So write your own ticket there for the West Tigers, if you ask me. And let's have a look here. Now there's been some movement in the head-to-head. They're both $1.90. Unbelievable. Let's pick up in the last few minutes before we say toodaloo. And we still have not got the try scores here. It's a bugbear. I'll bite my mobile phone. That won't be too good for you. Don't do it, people at home. But anyway, we've lost all the tries here of the previous tries, scorers and what have you. But I'm sticking here with probably 50-50 as far as tries scorers are concerned. Adam Dewey let us down last time. No one went in for the West Tigers. And we had Sunia Taruba. He didn't even go over. He looked like going over, but he's $1.85 here. He leads the market with Alex Johnson at $1.80. Latrell Mitchell, $2.25. I think people will be awake up to his sleepwalking tactics this time. If he puts on a little bit of an act and tries to go over from dummy half again, I don't think anyone's going to let that happen again. Let's have a look here. I can't start with odds on. We need to at least go for a little bit of value here. I'm going to stick with Jareem Buller at 240. I have to. I think he was the best player for Tigers in that thrashing, in that loss to the Melbourne Storm in Melbourne last weekend. Jareem Buller at 240. He's a good try scorer and a regulation try scorer. He's not your prolific try scorer, but when he's in form like he is at the moment, I want to have him as my banker. Okay, Stafford Toa as our second leg there, 290, even though we're tipping south. Then we're going to go a little bit wider. Isaiah Tass is 325. That's the best value you get for him for a while. Lockie Galvin, no, I can't have you, sir. Jamie Humphries, 4-1. That's a good one. Chuck him in as the fourth leg there, or the third leg, Jamie Humphries at 4-1. And that's for South. And then go as wide. Lachlan Hubby's an absolute work machine as far as defence is concerned. How much time will Colin Matangi get? I think he's going to be the other one that goes over. Let's chuck him in 550 for the fourth leg. And for the fifth leg, I want to go to Fatape for West Tigers. Fatape, and I'm pretty sure he's going to be good odds here. Fatape. Finu's 4-1. Where's Fatape? So you got Stafford Toa as your second leg there. I can't find him on here. Finu, Aiken, Coruscant, Seafart, Suka. Why can't I find Fatape in the market? Well, Fatape is going to be about 5-1 anyway. You can either have him and chuck in why not chuck in Samuel Finu? If he doesn't play Fatape and he's just on the bench and doesn't get the run, chuck in Samuel Finu there. But he's not in the market here, so it's very disappointing from TAB that he's not in the market. Oh, here we go. He is in the market. My apologies, TAB. But he was hiding in the smaller price boys at 2-1. So it's not great value, but at least your first, second, third, and fourth leg are good values. So chuck him in anyway for Fatape. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for having us. My only crystal ball tip to you this weekend is go easy, don't go crazy. It's going to be wet weather football. They're going to have to spray their hands with the non-slip grip, but don't go too strong this weekend. I'm just seeing how those first the 2 games go tonight and the 3 games go tomorrow before I get really excited about the North Queensland. As I said, that's probably the tip of the round, the North Queensland game. And I hope we collect with Tommy Dearden as our banker of the week. Okay, guys, drive safely because it is going to be wet. Don't go crazy. Have a bit more patience. Leave a gap between your first and second car, even if someone's bipping you that you're not going fast enough. Go to Shell. Go to Shell. That's what you can tell them back, but don't stick your head out. Don't get involved in any trouble because there's a lot out there and people are just crazy these days. Be careful. Have a lovely weekend and may the best sides win and hopefully all our tips go. But take it easy. It's going to be wet weather football. For now, I'm Axel Phillips on Every Point's a Winner. See you for the review program on either on Monday or Tuesday. Depends what time we get back from office prison. Take care.